All right, kia ora and welcome to ResBook Training Session 2. Just to recap, in Training Session 1 we talked about the online calendar and how your guests place bookings. We showed you, how to log into ResBook, and we covered how to log in, a bit of a tour of the home page, so the action flags and tabs, the messages menu, and the buttons, so what the buttons within the bookings mean and how you can amend your bookings. So how to preview the emails, how to check a booking in, how to check a booking out. We covered invoicing and how to amend invoices and the different settings, how to raise a new invoice if you need one before check-in. We covered the credit card processes, so if you are working with a credit card module, how to collect the balance, how to ensure deposits are paid at time of booking if you have instant confirmation on. We went through manual bookings, including the pending reconfirmation procedure, how to manually collect the balance with that, the express confirmation procedure and how to manually add credit card details for those bookings. And we talked about closures. So today's session is more about administration and reporting. And again, I'll just express there's no need to stress today. All the information that we will be covering can be found within our training resources. So today is more about showing you what ResBook is capable of rather than teaching you how to do everything. So we're going to start off today's session by talking about how you can use ResBook to save you time when working with agents. We're then going to move on to configuring your system configuration and how to administer your stock units. We'll look at the different system-wide settings like your booking and payment policy, your cancellation policy, your standard replies, etc. We'll touch briefly on your photo gallery. If you're using ResPay New Zealand, you'll be able to look at your transaction statement. We'll talk about how you can use ResBook to connect to portals, the reports that are available within ResBook. We'll talk about where to find different manuals and how to gain support with your ResBook system when you need it, before going over some final questions and answers and then talking about the go live process. So back into ResBook today, and you'll recall just really quickly that we have our booking that we did yesterday. It needs to be checked out. So just as a bit of a demonstration, I'm going to check the invoice. Balance is 0. So we can go ahead and check out the booking. And it is that easy. Fantastic. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about today is agents, and you'll notice in the blue menu line across the top here there is an agents area. Now there are 3 different ways of working with agents within ResBook. The first of which we'll talk about today is if the agent has their own version of ResBook or the availability agent application called ResAgent. Now agents that have ResAgent, it's free for them by the way, are able to look at some brief information about your property as per your ResBook settings. If they decide they would like to work with you, from within their software they will send you a relationship request, and that'll come through to you in one of your tabs on your messages flag. That relationship request will ask for a specific commission, which you can then accept or decline or simply renegotiate. Now once that relationship has been confirmed, that agent will be included in this list, and they will have a little tick in this column where it says AV, so indicating that they are an availability agent. From that point forward they can see your rates and your availability within their software, so they can use their software to place a booking directly into your ResBook system. So it's all about saving you time, no more emails back and forth. Do you have availability? What are your rates? Blah blah blah. You've got a pre-agreed commission and they can see everything. With a click of the button they can place a booking, and you can follow your normal procedures to confirm that booking. So that's the first way of working with agents. The second way of working with agents is to set up an agent within this area using this new agent booking button, allowing them to place a booking via your online calendar. So effectively your agents can still see what your normal prices are and they can see your availability. And once you've come in and set them up, you're going to give them a login name and a password. This is so when they go to place a booking, just like your guests do, they can do so, and the booking will come through to your ResBook system marked as from them. What you need to do, come here, fill in this entire form, set your commission up. You can indicate whether they're allowed to receive instantly confirmed bookings, and you can even control here whether you require credit card details from them at time of booking or not. Once this has been saved, pop them an email letting them know their login name and password, and obviously they'll need to know what their commission or rate basis is, and then tell them when they need to place a booking they can simply go to your website and place it directly into the calendar. So that's the second way of working with agents. Once you've added a new agent like this, they will then be in the list. And you'll notice you can, these are ones that we've previously set up. You can click on them to edit them, which will take you back to that same form. But I will just note, if you are working with an availability agent, you will not be able to edit their details because their details come from within their software. So if something needs to be changed, they need to do it within their software. The last way of working with agents is when you're placing a manual booking. So perhaps you've received an email from an agent who wants to place a booking in your system. You can go ahead and pop it directly into ResBook using the new manual booking form. You can follow the pending reconfirmation procedure or the express confirmation procedure. It's entirely up to you. The rate is your normal rate that you would normally offer, and make sure that the booking origin equals agent request. This then becomes the guest name. If you do have an email address in here, it's the guest email address. And if you recall from training session 1, we mentioned that if the booking origin is manual entry agent request, no emails will be sent to the guest. They will all get sent to the agent, but this is really good just for documentation's sake. Now before I save this booking, I'm going to tick the box here. I would recommend putting in the agent name and reference number here. And then perhaps guest name, just for ease of access later on. So ticking the agent details box there and clicking Save Booking will take us through to add the agent details to this booking. So if you are working with an agent that is already set up on your agents list, you'll find them in this drop-down. So this is Green Travel. Now if you are working with a new agent, you can go ahead and set one up here. Oops. And you'll notice the minute you put an email address in there, you then get the option to send the standard reply or not. Now, when you first set an agent up, ticking this box, Save to Agents, will make sure that their record is stored in the agent area, and you will be able to use agent statement functionality, which we'll demonstrate in a moment, and also see how many bookings that agent has placed through you. So if you are setting up a new agent this way, make sure you tick the Save to Agents box. A handy little hint though, you are only able to tick the Save to Agents box here if you are putting in a new booking. If you're simply amending a booking and adding agent details, you won't be able to save it. So make sure you do that with a new booking. For now though, I'm just going to use an established agent. I'm going to say here that yes, I want to send the standard reply. Now if you recall, I left the status as pending. And you can see here when I click go through the next email, this is our standard reply to. So it's going to ask your agent to confirm the booking. You'll notice it doesn't ask for the credit card details, and it won't unless it has been previously set up within the agent's area. So you can send that away to the agent, and then they can confirm the booking. And you'll notice within the booking details that that has all been mentioned down there, and the commission broken down there, sorry. Just a note, you'll notice here that this email does not mention the commission at all. So perhaps before you send it, you could edit it and add the commission details down the bottom here. Another option people use when working with agents is perhaps not following the pending reconfirmation procedure, send it straight to confirmed, and then using the confirm email the confirmation email, I should say. You can see I just confirmed the booking. This particular email does mention the commission. So rather than using the standard replies that ResBook has, you may wish to use the confirmation, as this one does talk about the commission. Let's have a look at this. We'll just point out the display here is only broken on this particular page, or you can see there's a bit of a big gap there. When your agent actually receives this email, it won't look like this. So you can see here it's directed to the agent, confirmation of your reservation with us for your guests, and you can see here that the commission is broken down. So this confirmation email is a really good one when working with agents. Now, in regards to invoicing and agents, perhaps when you receive the booking, you may wish to manually raise an invoice. You may wish to send them an invoice before the guests actually arrive. So we're manually raising an invoice in the invoices area for that booking number. And you'll notice something a little different about agent booking invoices. Sorry about the delay. There we go. You'll notice that this invoice is directed to the agent, which in this case is absolutely fine. So you can see here, here's the reservation information, and it is your total rate minus commission. So invoices are already after commission has been deducted. You'll remember it was 1,000 a night's been our 20% has been taken off that. So you can go ahead and email that to the agent now. Now let's say after the booking has arrived, we're going to check it in. We're going to create a new invoice this time during check-in, just in case while the guests are with us, they wish to add services. So we know that the first invoice here is to the agent and the second can be to the guest. And in coming into this invoice, you can see this link here says change to guest. Clicking on it is going to make this invoice be directed to the guest rather than the agent. And we do know that the guest isn't going to be paying for this reservation because the agent has been. So we could go ahead and delete this entry now. I'm going to save all our changes there, but because this invoice was raised during check-in, during check-out, it will be updated, so we may have to do that again. So while the guest is staying with us, perhaps we added a couple of services. If it's subject to commission, you could leave the commission in there, but in this case it is not, so we're just going to click add entry there. So we've got a service. Coming across to the payment, we can say they paid us in cash for the service while they were staying with us. And now if we go back through to the invoice, we're going to the guest invoice, we're going to update the services entry, and we're going to update the payments entry. So now we can see the invoice that we have sending to the guest, clicking save. Does not include the reservation, but it does include the services. Just very quickly going to amend this booking. So it arrived yesterday and it was only for one night, so I can demonstrate notify agent no. It is now due to check out today. So in the checkout process, you will notice that the invoices automatically get updated. and this is the guest one. So here we go, we've got that reservation is on here again, so we need to remove that and click Save again before we give that out. So back in the booking, if we have a look at the other invoice, you'll notice this still only includes the reservation information because this wasn't the one that was raised when we checked the guest in. So handy little hints there when working with agents and invoicing. Obviously, if you don't do it in that exact manner, there's no problem at all. You can edit each of those to make sure that both the invoices look exactly how you wish them to do so. So that is the 3 different ways of working with agents and how to manage your agent invoicing. So the next thing we need to look at is your system's configuration. And coming up to the admin menu, we're going to start here under stock configurations. The first item in this menu is classifications. Now a classification is a grouping of stock units. If you think back to the online calendar, we've got the poolside rooms, and there were 3 physical rooms within the poolside rooms. So you'll notice there is a poolside rooms classification. Here is our name of the classification and the description of the classification, and you'll notice that these stock units have already been put into the classification. Now in terms of what is shown on the online calendar and the stock unit pop-up, the name and description of the classification will override the name and description of the actual stock units which are part of that classification. So you'll notice the stock unit name is room 1, but when we look at the online calendar, it simply says poolside rooms. So the name and description of the classification will override the name and description of the stock unit. The rest of the settings for the online calendar will be taken from the main stock unit. So in this case it is room 1. So if I ever needed to edit details about the poolside rooms, all I'd need to edit was room 1. On this classifications page, it's also where we take care of our activities and dorm rooms, so you can see the difference here. We've got an activity, we've got a group activity. You'll notice it hasn't been set as a major yet. And also dorm rooms. So if you are working with activities, group activities or dorms, your setup will be a little bit more complicated, and we do recommend you give us a call if you do need to make any changes to your configuration, just to make sure that we make sure that your ResBook is set up the best way possible. So the next item in our configuration list is stock units. Now stock units represent individual rooms within your property, or individual beds if you have dorms, or places within an activity. For example, the vineyard tour, there are 6 seats in a minibus, so there's 1 stock unit for each seat. It controls what you can sell on your online calendar. So on the stock units page, you can see the name here, and it's blue and underlined, meaning it's a link. So if I wanted to edit that particular stock unit, I can easily click on it. The tick boxes down the left hand side, familiar sight within ResBook, you can tick that there to delete selected, although we'll point out that once a stock unit has a financial history, you will not be able to delete it. You will simply be able to make it inactive, and we'll show you where that setting can be found in a moment. The other button down the bottom is the new stock unit button, so it allows you to create new stock units to sell within your ResBook system, although this is controlled by the number of stock units your subscription allows. So if you do wish to sell new things, just pop us an email and we'll be able to help you out there. You can also copy a stock unit to create a new one if it is identical to another one. It can then be edited as also another way to create a new stock unit. So a couple of columns here, we've got the stock unit itself, what classification it's been put into. So you can see the orange room and the turquoise room were the examples of the individual rooms, so single rooms, 1 line on the calendar. So they are not part of a classification. But once a classification has been created, you can then opt to put a stock unit into that classification from within the stock unit. We'll show you how to do that, and you can see what's classification that stock unit is part of in this row here. Stock unit type talks about physical or virtual stock units. And if you recall, the Villa Deluxe Holiday Home is virtually linked to the turquoise room and the orange room. This means that when the Villa Deluxe Holiday Home is booked, the turquoise and the orange will automatically close. If the orange room is booked, the turquoise will remain open, but the Villa Deluxe Holiday Home is closed. And that's what we mean by virtual linking. You can see here that the virtual Villa Deluxe Holiday Home is a virtual line. Last but not least is the status, whether it's active or inactive. Once a stock unit is inactive, the only place you will be able to see it is on this page. All of these ones that are active can be seen on your home calendar. And there is one more setting once we get into the stock unit itself. Down the bottom you can see here's where you control that status, so active or inactive, but you can also make a stock unit hidden. A hidden stock unit can be seen on your home page, but it cannot be seen on the online calendar or communicated to any channel that you may connect your ResBook system to. So we are now editing a stock unit, and we can see which one it is by the text up the top here. Number of buttons across the top, we'll get into those at the moment, but you can see the name and description. Now, as the orange room isn't part of a classification, the information within the stock unit is what is shown on our stock unit pop-up. Obviously the name is also displayed on the calendar in the background, as well as sleeps max of 2 guests. You can see that is also a stock unit setting. So coming along, we've got the name and description controlled from here. The type button is where you can say whether a stock unit is physical or virtual, and it is also where you can place a stock unit into a classification. So once this classification has been created, it will be available to select in this drop down. Once you click save there, the stock unit will then be part of that classification. And as always, there is an action button at the bottom of each of these pages. If you don't want to save your settings, simply navigate away. Now the beds button, this is a really important part of the stock unit settings. It controls the sentence that you can see on the stock unit pop-up, which isn't, this is all pre-formatted. If you don't like the look of the sentence, you can turn it off as long as you include the relevant information within the stock unit description. But these particular settings influence the booking form. So we can see the orange room only has 1 room. It has a max guests of 2, and there is only 1 bed in it. Now if you do have more than 1 bed, you'll notice the minute I put 2, the option to say what size rooms there are goes away. We do recommend writing that in the bed description to be shown in the stock unit pop-up. However, if you do only have 1 bed, you can then dictate what type of bed it is and whether it can be configured as a twin or a double. In that situation, you'll notice on the booking form that the type of bed, the size, is displayed here, and the configuration drop-down will also be available to show what configurations there are. If you have a stock unit that has more than 1 bed in it, this option won't be available, but perhaps in order to ascertain what configuration your guests want, you may wish to create an additional field. So that's the beds button. The bathrooms button, this page never loads for me when I do it this way, won't be a moment. There we go, that looks a bit better, doesn't it? Is where you can opt to show the bed and bathroom configuration sentence. Like I said, if you would rather describe the beautiful multi-headed shower and your Egyptian cotton sheets on a luxurious king bed, rather than this sentence, you can turn that sentence off simply by clicking no. This is where your bathroom settings can be found as well. The features button controls the list of features up here. You may find it easier simply to include the features in the description if you want, but if you do wish to tick these boxes, you can do so. The photo part is where you can choose which photos are displayed within the stock unit pop-up. At the moment we can see there's 2 photos being applied to the orange room. Now these photos need to be loaded on the photo gallery, and we'll talk about that really soon. And you can display up to 4 photos, but once a photo has been loaded into the photo gallery once, you can then select it on any stock unit, but only a maximum of 4 for each stock unit. Here's that copy button. So clicking copy would allow me to copy this stock unit, create an identical one if you are expanding. The rates button and the minimum stay buttons will take you to the rates and minimum stays for this particular stock unit, but we're going to have a look at them because they were also up here in our stock configurations menu. So we're going to manage them from there rather than using these buttons. And last but not least, the address button. Unless you are a property manager and your stock units are actually located at different physical locations, you do not need to use this address button. If you are working with activities, the beds button is really important for you also. Obviously the number of beds or max guests, the number of beds won't need to be included, but your max guests will indicate how many people you can hold on that group activity. For instance, if there was one van, could take up to 6 people, but that one van costs X amount of dollars, you can still control the number of people underneath the beds tab. So that's stock units. The next part we're going to have a look at is rates. Now obviously rates is really, really important of your ResBook system, and it is your responsibility to maintain these and keep them up to date. So we can see when we're clicking into the rates area that rates are set per classification or per stock unit if a stock unit doesn't belong in a classification. Now, handy little hint, if you have created a rate period for a stock unit and then you put it into a classification, or you create a new classification and put that stock unit in, you will then need to create the classification's rate periods. If you then delete a classification, the stock units that were within that classification will need new rate periods set up. So handy hint if you are moving around classifications and stock units to make sure after you've finished, come double check your rates. Now the most important thing you will hear me say about rates today is that you cannot have overlapping rate periods. Now if in the future when it comes time to update your rates, you won't remember my little spiel today, but you can come along to our training resources page. So that's www.resbook.co.nz/training. And there is a great 5-6 minute video here about rates, so you can have a bit of a refresher there. So please do remember that you cannot have overlapping rate periods, and when you do need to have a bit of an update, pop through to our training resources page to watch the short video there. So this is our rate periods for the orange room. And starting from the bottom, we can see there is an expired one. Now this table is not distributed in any particular order, simply in the order that the rate periods are created. So I recommend if you are setting up new rates, make sure that you figure them out outside of ResBook first and then put them in chronological order to make it easier to manage them for the future. So you can see again on this page we've got tick boxes that allow us to delete selected. You may wish to delete them, but I feel that it would be good to see a history of your rates, so maybe you'd like to leave them there. Again here, the beginning and the end date are the links that take you in to manage that particular rate period. At the end here we've got a create special button, and we'll talk about rates specials in a moment. We can see that there has been one set up for this particular rate period. Now there are 2 different rates, rate structures that can be applied, and you'll notice that this particular rate period has a unit rate applied. The next one up has a single, double, triple option available. So we're going to talk about both of these. So to edit a particular rate period, we're going to click on into it. So this is the example of a unit rate. So it's got a beginning and an end date. It is a unit rate, and with the unit rate you can set X amount of dollars for X number of people. So in this instance you can have $500 for up to 2 people, and you'll notice out on the calendar it says rate for 1 to 2 guests is $500. So if one guest comes, $500, two guests come, still $500. Now if there were, the orange room can only take 2 people, but let's say for instance it could take 4, you can then put in an extra adult rate and an extra child rate. So the first 2 people that come will get charged $500, and additional people over and above 2 will get charged $100 each. There's also an area here for you to insert freeform text. A lot of people like to use this to mention what's included in those rates, transfers, breakfasts, etc. So returning to our rates table, I didn't save my changes there. Let's have a look at the next rate period in our list. This is the example of the single, double, triple rates. Now you'll notice that the last rate period finished on the 31st of December 2011. This one starts on the 1st of the 1st, so there is no overlap between the rate periods. The single, double, triple rates allow you to put different rates depending on the number of people. So in this case, if one person comes, they'll get charged $250 rather than $500, which was the unit rate example. If 2 people come, they'll get charged $500. Using this rate structure, you can then create a rate for 3 people, and you can also then create a rate for extra adults over and above that. So when 3 people come, it will be, let's say, $650. 4 people come, it'll be $650 plus the extra adult rate. This tricky little question here, single, double, triple rates valid only for adults. If you say yes, it means that the adults in the party will get charged these, but any children will get charged the child rate. So it's really important that you have a child rate in place there. Now, easy to create a new rate period by clicking that button just here. So again, there's that great little video here on rates. Our next topic I'm going to talk about is special rates. And if we scroll down on our training resources page, there is a great document here called special rates. So all the information you need to know about specials can be found there. So you can see there's been a couple of specials in place. One's been expired. Similar to rate periods, you can only have one set up at any time, so you can't have them overlapping. Only one can be applied, and it's the top one in the list. I can delete the special by clicking remove. I can create a new special by clicking on the create special button, but let's just go into this special by clicking on the name of it. Now, a special can only be applied or set up within the rate period it has been created for. So the rate period we were working on starts on the 1st of the 12th, 2010 and finishes on the 31st of the 12th, 2011, so the end of the month. You can put a name on your special, and then within the rate period you can then further refine the period that the special applies to. So although this is a full year, you may only wish to offer the special during winter months. So you can use the date picker to change those dates there. Now, max guest for the special to apply to is quite an important one. Now, we know the orange room can only take 2 guests, but let's say it could take 4. If we set this to 2, the minute 4 guests place a booking, the special won't apply anymore. So you need to consider that when you're creating your special. Now, there are 3 different types of specials that can be applied. Now, the bottom one on the list here is the easiest one to manage. You can increase or decrease your rate by a percentage amount or a fixed amount. So you'll notice here we've only got the unit rate in place. We've decreased it by $25. The rates come down to $4.75. Now, this nightly rate has come down to $4.75, and that's the major difference between this special option and our other specials. Coming back to the online calendar, we can see that the standard rooms have an example of the increase or decrease by a fixed amount or a percentage special called Quiet Time. It has reduced it by $25 on certain days. You can see it's only on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for example. And you can see the full rate on the calendar is indicated here, and the special nightly rate has been changed. Coming up to the orange room, which we know has a stay and pay special in place, you'll notice the nightly rate hasn't changed. It still says $500 because the special doesn't apply unless they book the correct number of nights. So you can see the special rate here, it says stay 3 nights and pay for 2. So if I select 3 nights and then continue with my booking, on the booking form you can see the little flame indicates a special has been applied. So back in ResBook we can see we've got stay 3 nights and pay for 2. So as long as your guests make a booking that is for 3 nights within this stock unit within the rate period with less than 2 guests, they'll have that particular special applied. Last but not least, you can say pay $500 for X amount of nights. Back on the calendar, you'll notice that the poolside rooms had this in effect. So pay $500 for 3 nights rather than 3 times 200, and it's the same deal. The special won't show until they go through to the booking form. Coming down, you can choose when this rate applies to. So the special is within the rate period. You can further refine the special time frame if you wish, and then within that you can say I only want it applying on certain months and certain days. So perhaps you don't want to offer a special on a Friday and a Saturday night. You can control that there. And then there is an area for freeform text, which is displayed when you hover over the calendar. See where that special terms is in red. So those are your special rates. Now I will note that special rates are not communicated to any channel or agent. They are only visible from your ResBook calendar. Next on our list is minimum stays, and back over on our training resources there's another great brochure there about minimum stays for you to check out. Now minimum stays are advertised in our booking and payment policy. And you will notice that there are 2 types of minimum stays. You can either set a minimum stay for a certain classification or stock unit, or you can create a system-wide stay which applies to all stock units and classifications. The functionalities vary very much the same, so I'll just demonstrate the system-wide stay today. You can easily put a time frame in place by using the date picker. Easy to create a new one by simply clicking on the bottom line here. Minimum stay, this is your number of nights which you need, and then you'll notice here, this one's actually expired, but you'll notice there is a mode here. There are 2 options. You can either allow request or make this minimum stay a requirement. Now we know that the turquoise room has a minimum stay of 2 nights. So if I try and place a booking for 1 in the turquoise room, even though my system has instant confirmation turned on, the system will not allow this booking to be instantly confirmed, and it's giving your guests the option to continue to book, but their booking will result in a request which you, the property, will then be able to accept or decline. So they have the option, do they wish to continue, yes or no. If you leave the mode as allow request, that'll be what happens. If you simply say required, that alert won't be so nice, and it'll simply say there is a minimum stay, and it'll go okay, and they'll have to put in the right amount of nights. The override functionality simply means that this system-wide stay will override any individual minimum stays that have been set up, and that's the only difference between the system-wide stay and the individual stays. So moving on to the next option in the stock configurations list is the services menu. Now you may or may not have the services module. It is an additional module at additional cost to the ResBook system, but the services module can be used to set up and sell services. So if a service is bookable, it can be booked online at time of booking. If not, it means that it's simply available to you to add to bookings manually. So you can see there are a few set up here for different reasons. A A service can be set up either per stock unit, per item, per booking, or per person. It can be applied daily. It can or cannot be included in the rate, up to you, so that's really good. Perhaps breakfast is included and you wish to highlight this fact. You can set up breakfast, and then you can even say collect additional information by questions on these services that get asked at time of booking. For example, if we go through, you'll notice here are additional services. We booked 2 rooms, so different services for different rooms. We could say, do we want a souvenir t-shirt, for example, and there's an additional question which I can answer at that point. So services can be really, really helpful. For upgrades, you'll notice there's an option to upgrade to B&B, can sell all sorts of things, phone calls, etc. Again, over on our training resources is a great document if you want to know further information about services. So have a read of that, and then if you'd like it to be added to your system, just pop us a phone call or an email and we'll be able to do that for you. Next thing we need to look at today is our system settings. So we're just going to start at the top of the list and work our way through the more important pages. The general settings page helps you to control your accommodation names. Obviously your accommodation name shows up on your online calendar. It also shows up in a lot of your standard replies. You can change your password here. On this page you can control the emails and email notifications that get sent. So if any of these availability events happen, so you receive a new booking or someone confirms a booking, or if an agent sends you a request, if any of these things happen within your ResBook system, ResBook will send a notification to the top email address here. The bottom email address, the email CC, is the email that receives the carbon copies of the emails that are sent to your guest. Important to remember when you amend your rates in your ResBook system that the pricing level, now this is majorly for agents, but it's also used in some of our integrations, so make sure that you keep your pricing level up to date. And on this page you can also see when your subscription is due to expire. So coming down to the next really important page is address and contact. So if any of these details change, make sure you come in and amend them. Some of this information is displayed within your standard replies in the agent application, obviously. And this little field down here, the email signature, this gets inserted on the bottom of every email your system sends. So it pays to have all your contact details here, so no matter what email your guests receive, they always can contact you. On the property description page, this is where you can control your child policy. Coming down, accounting and financial, obviously really important, is how you can control your deposit. So you can see here you've got a few different options. We've opted for 25% of the total, but you could say 100% of a day. You could ask for $200 fixed amount, or you can have a weekly amount. The deposit can be due at time of booking, upon arrival, or a set number of days prior to arrival. The pay in full discount is managed here. So if you haven't set this up, it won't be applied to anything. But once you come here and set it up, click Save Changes, it will be applied. It will be available from your online calendar. And if you want it available on some rate periods and not others, you will then need to go back to your rate periods and tick the box that says the stay and pay, or the pay in full discount is not available to that particular rate period. If there's any other text you wish to talk about in regards to your payment policy, it can be placed in here. Now your payment policy is displayed in this link. So you can see it mentions the pay in full discount, then mentions your deposit policy, your balance, and then a little bit of extra text. And remember, your guests have to accept your policies before they can place a booking, so it's a bit of an insurance for you there. Make sure your tax number has been entered in here. And your bank account number, especially if you're using ResPay New Zealand, this is a bank account number that we will be placing your payments into, so important to keep this up to date. Even if you aren't using ResPay New Zealand, this bank account number can be inserted onto your invoices. The accepted cards area controls the logos which are displayed online. If you're using ResPay New Zealand, you have the ability to accept all three of these, but if you don't want to accept American Express, make sure you untick the button. Now, as always, there's an action button at the bottom of the page, so if you do want to save your changes, make sure you do click on that button. Website integration page talks about what your online calendar looks like and how it's integrated into your website. So make sure that you're using calendar version 2 and that you have the multi-page FIT form selected. This classic version is soon to be removed from here, as well as the single page FIT form. This handy little tick box up here, allow booking requests to waitlist for booked rooms, means that if from your online calendar someone tries to book where you have no availability, they will get a nice little reminder. For example, if I try and book this room, I get a nice little alert saying you've chosen a date that already has a pending or confirmed booking. So continuing to place this booking will result in a request. So again, this booking will not be instantly confirmed regardless of my settings because I have no availability. So it's a really great way to gauge interest. If you'd rather not receive booking requests, just untick that button there. The booking form notes is a really helpful area. The text that you type in there gets displayed above your online calendar and also within your booking and payment policy link. Sorry, we just need to refresh that page again. You can see it up the top here. So a lot of people include information there that can be really handy for check-in out times maybe, or instructions on what to do throughout the booking process if it's a little different. So that's your website integration page. Cancellation policy, quite an obvious one. You've got a couple of pre-formatted lines, at least one line must be pre-formatted, and then some text. Little handy hint, don't put a full stop there. The system will do that for you. Now that cancellation policy, as well as your payment policy, they get inserted into different standard replies, and standard replies are next on our list. So these standard replies are the emails that your system sends to your guest throughout the booking process. So it's important to know when these get sent and what's included in them. So we'll start from the top. Standard reply 1 is sent when your guests make a reservation request, and a request only. If you have instant confirmation on, this email won't get sent unless for some reason a booking isn't instantly confirmed, like it didn't meet your minimum stay requirements or you have no availability, for example. Now with all these standard replies, you can add text to personalize the email, but you can't change the content. So you can type away in here, save your changes, and then clicking on the preview button will show you a demonstration email. So, dear guest first name. Here's the text that you've typed into the square at the background here. And this is the content of the email. We will review your request and send confirmation of rate and availability. If you need to contact us regarding your request, please send an email to insert email address. That will be automatically populated from your address and contact page, and the booking number. So this is not a confirmation. Thank you for choosing. Your property name will go there, and then your email signature. So that's standard reply 1, confirming to you, your guest that the booking has been placed. And it's one of the only emails that you can opt not to send. Standard reply 2 is the email used in the pending reconfirmation procedure. So either you've received a reservation request and you've accepted it, or you've put in a new manual booking. Standard reply 2 is the one that includes the link. So you've got, dear guest first name, thank you for your reservation request. Yes, we can accommodate you for X nights from X date. The rate is X, the total is X. Here's your additional text which has been inserted from here. Here's that very important paragraph. Now you'll note there is no link. The link will get generated when the booking is. And the information, you've got your cancellation policy in here as well. So that's standard reply 2. Standard reply 3 will only get sent once a booking has been confirmed. So a lot of people put in how to find properties. I've even seen people putting in keypad numbers into this email. So this particular email gets sent if a guest places an instantly confirmed booking online, or they confirm the booking after completing the pending reconfirmation procedure. So this one says, thank you for confirming your reservation. Here's your additional text. Refer to our cancellation policy, which is here, blah, blah, blah. So that's a most important one. Now, if you do have instant confirmation on, you may wish to add your cell phone number in here and advise people that if they are due to arrive today, to give you a call. Handy little hint. The reply 4 we also call the welcome home email. Now, if you don't write anything in this area, this email will not get sent. So if blank, no email is sent. If you do write something in here, this email will get sent the day after your guests depart, and it's a great way of collecting feedback. So clicking on preview, you can see that it simply says, dear guest first name. Here's the message that you've typed on the standard replies page. A lot of people use this to ask your guests to visit you on TripAdvisor and leave some feedback. So really good way to use that there. And standard reply 5 is sent when you are following the express confirmation procedure. So perhaps you've received a reservation request, and instead of following the pending reconfirmation, you've set the status straight to confirmed, or maybe you've put in a new manual booking and you've set the status straight to confirmed. So a lot of people will just copy the same information from reply 3 and put it down in reply 4, and this simply reply 5, sorry. Thank you for your request. We have confirmed your reservation. Details, details, details. Here's our phone number, here's our email, here's our cancellation policy. So those are your different standard replies. Standard reply 1 you can turn off. Standard reply 2 can be edited before you send it, always. Reply 3 gets sent automatically, so you can't edit it, and it will just be sent to your guest regardless. Standard reply 4 can be turned off by deleting any text here. Standard reply 5 can be edited before you send it. So handy things to know about your standard replies. And please do note that you don't need to sign them off. So remember, this is additional text only. So type what you need, save your changes and click preview before doing anything. Remember that your email signature from the address and contacts page will be automatically inserted on the bottom of the email. Booking forms, another important part of your ResBook system. The manual booking form can be found in this list, and obviously when you click on the calendar, now don't worry about any of these tick boxes here. All these questions are asked when you're placing a new booking and you tick the guest details box before saving your booking. You will be able to answer all those questions, so don't worry about ticking any of these boxes. The most important one here is the FIT form. Always make sure you've got your multi-page FIT form set up, but within this table on this page you can select the additional questions to ask during the online booking process. For example, when we go through to the book now, to the booking form, in section 3, this is where these questions are displayed. So you can see we've got mobile and ETA as our pre-formatted questions. We want them visible but not required. Again, less is more during the online booking process. We don't want your guests giving up halfway through because they can't answer a question. So having them visible means it's there if they want to add the information, but it's not going to prevent them from completing the booking if they can't. So number of pre-formatted questions, but you have the ability to create additional fields yourself. Now, additional fields is two-step process. You need to create them by clicking on the additional fields button, and then you need to return to the form you want them visible on to make them visible and or required. Now I'll take this opportunity to introduce you to the ResBook Assistant. So you saw in the line there we've got the ResBook Assistant. Now the ResBook Assistant is full of handy hints, and its menu down this side follows the ResBook menu. So if we want to find more about additional fields, which was under the FIT, under the booking forms there, I would go the same way I would find it in ResBook. So it was under Admin, System Settings, Booking Forms. Now on this page I can read down. Coming down we have some information on how to create additional fields. So when you first have a question within ResBook, double check the ResBook Assistant. You may be able to find the answer. If you can't find the answer in the ResBook Assistant, pop over to our training resources page. You may be able to find the information in a related video or document. Also on this page is our instant confirmation settings. Now if you are just using ResBook and you're not going to connect to any portals, then instant confirmation is entirely up to you. On, off, make sure that you tick collect credit card details. If that's off, it will mean that a booking can be instantly confirmed without credit card details, and we don't want that happening. There is a buffer period which you can put in place, which means that if I put a 2-day buffer period in there, if a guest tries to place a booking for today or tomorrow, it will come through to you as a request, so you can then confirm it. But any bookings from that point forward will then be instantly confirmed. So it's all about convenience for you and making sure that you don't have people turn up when you're not expecting it. But if you are using ResBook to integrate to a channel manager or any of our portals, instant confirmation must be on with a 0 buffer period. And it is a bit of an industry norm at the moment. So that leads us really nicely. I think that's the important part of the system menu. Let's skip down to portals. ResBook can help you get bookings in more places than just your own website. ResBook can integrate with a number of larger channel managers, which are organizations that manage different website listing for you, and also different websites. So you can see we have direct portals or integrations with Bookit, SiteMinder Tourism Exchange, Need to Nap, Amazing.com, and Jason's. The other portals page shows you a list of websites which you can choose to list on. So have a look at the website, decide if you'd wish to list on that or not, and then get in touch with them. When you're talking with them, let them know that you have ResBook, and they'll be able to adapt your listing on their website to reflect your ResBook availability and or rates. And whenever a booking is placed via that website, it will be delivered into your ResBook system automatically and flagged as from that website. Now the portals work a little differently. For example, let's talk about Bookit. Bookit is a fantastic New Zealand channel manager, and as with all the portals, you first need to communicate with that portal or that channel manager first to establish your account with them. They will then give you the information needed. You will be able to then come back into ResBook and indicate how you would like to communicate through to them. SiteMinder is a really large international integration. Now this integration is a little bit more complicated than others. For example, ResBook and SiteMinder don't communicate rates. So there are a few ins and outs of these different integrations. Best to look at all your options and decide where you want to list is the first question. After that, contact them and ask them if they integrate with ResBook or not. They'll be able to provide you information. You can then come to this portal page and activate this. Any questions on this, please just let us know. Obviously, when it comes time, once you're used to your ResBook system and you're ready to integrate, this can save you so much time because you only need to manage your availability in one place. No more checking every website each time you have a new booking to adjust your inventory. No more fixing up your rates left, right, and center. Really good way of saving you time. Next in our admin list is our photo gallery. We'll start off by saying don't use the background image. It's not used anymore. The logo image, you can upload a logo. Keep it quite small, the kind of thing you'd put on the header of a any stationery, because that gets inserted onto your invoices. Coming down, we've got some property photos, and this is pretty much only displayed to your agents, and perhaps if you decide to list with Need to Nap, they'll also utilize that. You may even wish to go to the availability website, which is self-Pacific accommodation. Just another channel, a channel of ours. It does need a bit of an update, but you can choose to list there for free. All our ResBook clients are invited to do so. So coming down, you can see there is a line here for each stock unit that is within your system. You only need to upload a photo once, and to upload a photo, you can simply click on the upload button and then find the file within your computer. Now, a couple of handy hints when working with your photo gallery. The photo needs to be 350 by 250 pixels, so that when it is displayed on the online calendar and the stock unit pop-up, it is not distorted. If you try and put a portrait photo in there, it will simply be squished. It also needs to be resized to less than 40 kilobytes, otherwise the server won't be able to fit everyone's beautiful photos in. Last but not least, in our admin list is My Availability account. If you are using ResPay New Zealand, you can use your availability account to monitor credit card payments. So you'll notice on this page, we're just looking at the transactions for December at the moment. You can see what your balance is. Now, obviously, this is just a training system, so I'm not going to get paid, but your balance should sit at 0. And you'll notice as a credit card payment comes in from your guest, you can see it in the credit column. As we pay that money out to your bank account, it gets listed in the debit column along with the fees, reducing your balance back down to 0. On this page, you can also reread your end user license agreement. You can export it, and if you do have ResPay New Zealand, you can also pay your subscription online. So that's really handy. Next thing to talk about is our reports, and it's quite hard to teach about reports because everyone has different requirements. What I recommend is that you go through the system and find what report is best for you. Have a look at each of them, see what information is included. The arrival and departure reports can be added to. It's quite easy. You saw it was displayed there. You can then say you also wish to add the country in there and click display, and it will insert a new column into the form here. The occupancy average nightly rates can be really helpful. As well as your financial summary. Another really good one is the Statistics Department report for your government reporting. It can save you a lot of time. You can see where all your guests come from. And your general usage statistics can show you how often people are looking at your ResBook calendar on your website and how many bookings are coming through it. A favorite report of mine is the invoice totals by booking. Now, this does rely on your invoicing, so if your invoices aren't correct, this report won't be either, but I would more than likely use this report to make sure I had collected all the payments. As you can see, any outstanding amounts are reported in red. So you can see the guests, what booking it was for, the invoice, and the information. So you can see what has been paid, what hasn't been paid, what's left to collect. Now, if that payment had been made, but the invoice hadn't been updated, this report would still show that as outstanding. And with most our reports, very similar functionality. You can change the time frame very easily, clicking display. But the most important report in your system, I still believe, is the bookings full list. and then exporting that with the details of each booking. Really, really helpful. All right, so we've already talked about the ResBook Assistant, and you can see there's lots of information there. We've talked about the online training resources page. That was www.resbook.co.nz/training. If you do need to give us a call, our phone number's in the ResBook header. We are in the office between the hours of 8:30 to 6:30 on weekdays, but you can always leave us a message or get the cell phone number that is on our message and give us a call if you do have an emergency. Clicking on the support link here will use your email program to send us through an email. We've probably been talking on that already, support@availability.co.nz, and don't forget to log out of your system when you're done, especially when you're using a public computer. So the next step in the process is going live. Now that you've completed the 2 different training sessions, we're confident that you know how to use your ResBook system. You will wish to enter your forward bookings to make sure that your details are correct. The next step will be to put ResBook onto your website, so please check your configuration complete email for more information about that. Double check all your system settings, so the admin menu that we went through today, and then sit back, relax, and let ResBook do the work. So thank you so much for your time today. We'll pop you another email just confirming that you're ready to go live with a bit of a checklist for you to go through those different system settings, and you're ready to go. Thanks for completing training, and I'm sure we'll be in touch really soon.